It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh, let's review.
We'll analyze the scene.
Sounds holly jolly to me.
Before it's over, let's begin.
Bum.
Bum.
That's right, folks. Since the Christmas season is upon us, we thought the way to celebrate and get into the holiday spirit would be with some holiday reviews.
6, to be exact, selected and arranged for your Yuletide pleasure.
So silver up those bells, light the multicolored lights, and go out and build a snowman to join us as we engage in some seasonal shenanigans. We're back. Yeah. All right, folks. How the heck are you, Dragon? Christmas 2019. Oh my God.
Yeah, what are we unwrapping tonight?
Tonight we are unwrapping. Oh my God, it's HumDuck, a Looney Tunes Christmas. All right, Dragon. So this is yet another, subversion of A Christmas Carol, but I got to say this is probably one of the more clever ones because they really do a good job of updating it with the mall setting. The mall setting, gives our side characters a lot to do, without really having a lot of dialogue. We see them in the background a lot. And our main characters definitely, get the attention they deserve. So I like this one quite a bit. Honestly, I don't even remember it at all. I think it probably came out at a time where I just straight up, wasn't watching Cartoon Network or something. I don't know. I'm curious on the background on this, Dragon. But, yeah, this one was a pleasant surprise for me, and it's, I think, as the Christmas Carol of the bunch, it's a nice one to get into. Dragon, we've got a really good lineup this year. Of course, we're only doing 6 because, our schedule's kind of worn thin, folks. We've got a lot going on the pipeline. We've got, Rise of Skywalker. We've got the end of the year list. We've got the end of the decade list. We've got a lot going on. So we're going to do 6 for y'all. And I think the lineup is perfect. It's going to be a big sort of a lot of benchmarks in the holidays. But also an important benchmark, which we'll get to. Dragon's very hesitant about it, but let's just say I think it has a right to be there, but for all the wrong reasons. So I'm just kind of getting, explaining the 6 versus 12 thing here.
Well, again, the way I like to look at it, a little bit more glass half full here is, it's our 6th anniversary. Therefore, it's kind of a little 6 and 6 action going on between this and its predecessor, Christmas in July. A little kind of half C action on the Christmas season.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
That's kind of the way I like to look at it.
Okay, Dragon. So let's see. How do you feel about this one?
Yeah. This is it's a fun update on Christmas Carol with kind of the hallmarks of Looney Tunes. It's kind of it's sort of like a late to the party. It's definitely kind of late. Looney Tunes are kind of late to the party following the act of Scrooge McDuck with Mickey's Christmas Carol. I think I would be shocked if that wasn't in kind of the mindset making this. Okay, we're gonna do a Christmas Carol, but we can't. It's already been done by the competition. We can't.
We need another greedy duck. I repeat, we need another greedy duck.
No, but it's the fact of it's not like they're gonna do a Christmas Carol, but they're all gonna be the characters. They already did it, man. They already did it. It's history. We can't top that. It's 2006. What are we gonna do? Of course, they kind of found out. Yeah, let's update it. It's kind of there's a clever notion. I felt. And I think this thing always
perfectly in the timeline of I was like a sophomore in college and I wasn't watching Cartoon Network at all. I was into Lost. I was deep into Lost in 2006. Deep into Lost, Survivor, and Big Brother.
I mean, the thing always stuck out to me about this is made for a really interesting, a commercial on the holiday DVDs where they were advertised by HumDuck. It's like, oh man, look at this. I had it's basically Daffy Duck kind of in kind of a management position. It's like, oh man, there's something kind of interesting about this. And yeah, It was always kind of an earworm. I checked that a few years back finally, and it's like, oh man, that was quite delightful. I forgot how brief it was upon the rewatch. I'll admit that it was more briefer
Yeah,
than I.
I appreciate the brevity though, because
Yeah,
we all know this story. It's not like they're telling us anything we haven't heard before.
exactly,
So it's essentially like a greatest hits version of the story, and I think by that extent they pull it off really well.
precisely. All right.
Okay, so Dragon, tell us the story, my friend. Regale us with the plot summary.
All right. So I'm going to keep it simple because the special itself is brief and in celebration of brevity. And why can't I? So, so essentially, it's Christmas Carol, specifically more of kind of a Scrooge meets Looney Tunes. It's very Scrooge-esque. It's very the Bill Murray Scrooge movie. It's a little.
Yes.
A little Scrooge meets Looney Tunes in terms of like doing an update on kind of the holiday classic, but also again we're not literally doing the story, but more a guy kind of going through a similar experience of the story. Daffy Duck is kind of our Scrooge-like kind of owner of the Lucky Duck superstore. He's very much kind of the tight-fisted. His tight-fisted and miserly actions lead to him making his employees work Christmas morning, come in at 5 a.m. on Christmas morning, which isn't eerily similar to the situations we're dealing with now.
Right.
Which of course this begets three ghosts, which begets a moral, which begets a happy ending, and that's pretty much it.
All right. So, Dragon, do you have any background on this? Because I'm genuinely curious.
Sadly, no, I don't have any background.
Wow. Okay, that's a rarity, folks.
I mean, look. That's why I left out the background segment, Tiki. But it's no basically we have like a lot of the classic Looney Tunes actors that have come back. So we have a really great cast in this. That's really the most background I have. It's it's 2006 direct to video release. That's all I got, folks.
Direct to video. Okay.
So
yeah. Like I don't know. Again, I'm kind of like a 90s kid who's living in the era of like, oh, was it a Cartoon Network movie? But no, like at this point in time, everything was probably direct to video.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so let's get to the characters. Let's start with Daffy.
Yeah, so Daffy Duck. It's very interesting. We have Daffy starting off successful for a change. This is kind of like the Fantasy Island Daffy Duck for a change. It's like,
God,
man,
I really like that movie.
I know, me too. Me too.
Oh man, we should do some sort of Looney Tunes retrospective at some point.
Oh god, remember the awards ceremony. Remember not from that one, but from another. It's the whole Oswald's thing. The whole anyway.
We could go down a rabbit hole with that.
Literally, we go wrong turn Albuquerque, all that stuff. Anyway, no, back to Daffy Duck. Here's Daffy. Yeah, he starts off successful for a change. He's very greedy. This. It's very interesting. This is a take on a Scrooge-like character who constantly gets a comeuppance, which is something rarely that you see, because usually, as he goes on the adventure with the ghost, that's how he kind of slowly but surely kind of gets his comeuppance. He kind of gets a little introspective, but no, it's like every turn he's like, bam! It's like, okay, this guy's acting greedy, but we got to set him back, and he's a Looney Tune, so he can take the
physical abuse that Daffy suffers in this thing is just delightful, Dragon. I love it. It kind of harkens back to a simpler time in animation and comedy.
It does, good old slapstick. It's quite delightful. I love that greed definitely plays into Daffy Duck's strong suit. Because of course, Daffy Duck very easily can become a greedy character, very money obsessed, always in competition with Bugs Bunny. These are all strong suits of the character. So he's a natural pick for Scrooge.
Oh yeah.
Or miserly character in this case. So importantly, though, with Daffy, we do kind of glimpse in the past, in Christmas past, is that we see a softer side to Daffy Duck via the whole orphan backstory. And of course, it's for the one-off element of the whole, like we're not doing like a Muppet thing where like, Daffy Duck off to the side here. There's a question like, is this like the actual background? Is it not? Is it probably just like Daffy Duck clocking in to shoot a movie? And it's like, at the point we're not doing like the whole Muppety, like layers upon layers of felt, so to speak here.
Oh.
But no, it's, but yeah, it's interesting though. You kind of see like you built in kind of a genuine sympathy and sincerity within the Daffy Duck backstory. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, I thought it was. It was a brief scene, and I'm glad they didn't really dwell on it because I feel like what we got was just enough to kind of like sympathize with them. But Man, I tell you what I really connected with was his connection with Porky's daughter, which we'll get into her a little bit later, but I mean, Jesus Christ, talk about like milking a little bit of screen time for all it's worth between those two.
Oh yes. Right. Let's see. But yeah, I tell you my favorite.
Generally speaking, in the first act, I'm just gonna come right out and say it, Dragon. Daffy is a straight up asshole.
Yeah, that's well, certainly. Of course, you kind of need that so you can set them back. And speaking of which, let me transition to this point before I do some shout outs from the comments. I love there's this great moment in the performance of Daffy Duck. There's this great sincerity upon after a I'm going to talk a little bit more about this later on, but I mean specifically on the Daffy side of this. The moment where Daffy sincerely he asks for a second chance, which is like again it's a fun. There's it's kind of it's underplayed and refreshing. It's just like it's just kind of something you don't see. Daffy Duck, of course, very famously just kind of the over the top character, very much like rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, like it's mine, all that sort of stuff. Just going on, out of very much kind of the hilarious kind of overreaction. But I love it, such an after such a moment of sheer sincerity, he just kind of like turns to the ghost of Christmas future, says, "Hey, can I? When I said I was sorry before, I didn't really mean it, but I do now. Can I please have a second chance?" Like there's something so magical and so foreign to this character, but something so endearing about it, because you never see this from Daffy Duck. I mean, didn't that touch you at all?
Oh no, absolutely, absolutely. I'm on the same wavelength with how understated that moment was. It wasn't a big kind of like hysterical, like "please take me back, please spirit," and they could have totally overplayed that, but they didn't. They go very quiet and realistic with that moment.
Here's a little Christmas gift from Inhuman Quake. Again, we were kind of skimpy on the backstory because there's really not a whole lot to be had. However, there's something kind of according to Inhuman Quake here. This was the last performance of Joe Alasky doing the voice of Daffy.
Wow, nice. And I think it's a really nice project to go out on because, as you just illustrated, Daffy definitely gets, some layers to build off of in this one.
Yeah, it kind of goes out and kind of one of the iconic performances. Again, it's like every great actor. There are some roles every great actor takes upon. Like some cases, it's Romeo and Juliet. In some cases, it's Hamlet. In some cases, again, another big famous example, Christmas Carol with Ebenezer Scrooge. And Joe Alasky went on a high note.
Mm-hmm.
You could say.
All right. And he says, "I love this movie. Daffy is my favorite. Great Inhuman Quake. I'm glad that this is a good choice for you. So glad to have you on board with the Christmas stuff. Welcome." All right. Switching back over. You want to get into bugs?
Yeah.
All right, so Dragon, I think you and I are probably on the same wavelength with this one. The idea to make Bugs the shopper in this situation, the patron of them all, was like, oh my god, a stroke of genius.
That it is. That is. I love Bugs' role in the story. He's also he's kind of Fred, but he's kind of not. I guess I'm saying
I mean, I would wager to say that Bugs is just like, let's not even like try and compare him to a character in the book, because I feel like that's doing a disservice to what they did here, because essentially what they're doing is kind of a dual protagonist thing with Bugs the supporting protagonist, and so essentially Bugs is like just his role within the story is completely original to this. At least that's how I read it.
I mean, you're absolutely.
Oh, okay. He seemed like he was going to make a big point there, folks. All right. So yeah, I don't know. I just really love the everyman quality to Bugs here. Very much, he's just sort of the guy who's kind of like making the observations about Daffy. But I like how humble he is too. He's just kind of like going around the mall, looking for, doing his last minute shopping. Like I said, he's the everyman. Everyman. That's about all I can say. Dragon, why do you have to leave on a big profound thought you were going to make? So let's see. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just speaking to the mall setting in general here for a minute, folks. And Human Quake, if you have anything more to say about the movie in the comments, I'd honestly appreciate it, because I'm kind of waiting for Dragon to finish his point here when he dropped. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna kind of I'm gonna dovetail over to Porky and Priscilla here, and I'm gonna let Dragon take the reins on Bugs. Okay, we're just gonna do that just to drive the train home. So Porky and Priscilla in this movie, and then we'll kind of double back to Bugs once Dragon gets back. Yeah, Porky is I think he's the most on the nose, sort of like one for one example of like he's obviously meant to be the the Bob Cratchit of this story, and man, he really works. He really works. Porky Pig is a character in Looney Tunes that's always intrigued me because the dude has sort of a sensitive side and a heart of gold, but also kind of a temper and a short fuse at the same point. And he's a little bit unconventional in that way. All right, we'll double back around to Porky. Just kind of set Porky up as the all right, Dragon, it seemed like you were going to make a point about Bugs, so I didn't want to get into Bugs anymore. I kind of just made a point about Porky being the, a great Bob Cratchit type. We'll double back around to Porky. Your thoughts on Bugs? Go.
Yes, I mean that's the thing. The remarkable thing about this is that we shook it up. We didn't do things that weren't like straight adaptations because again, it's kind of been done already. Again, by another famous kind of cartoon interpretation of A Christmas Carol. So, we have him as I can't call him quite a narrator because he's not really narrating things, but he does kind of frame our story. And he's sort of like
a
a
little
Greek
bit of a narrator. I could see that as his role.
I mean, that's the thing. It's sort of a narrator, but he's not really like he's not like he's framing the events. I kind of compare him to. He's kind of like a Greek chorus almost. He's sort of like a Greek chorus.
Totally.
He's sort of he's the guy off to the side. He frames the events. He kind of starts off the things like, I know you associate rabbits with Easter, but hey, it's the holidays. I live for the holidays. And then, of course, later on, more importantly, he's the one who puts the ghosts in the play, and he says, "Oh man, you should be careful, Doc. There's going to be a whole lot of. I heard about them when guys are really miserly like you. Ghosts haunt them." That whole thing, he really frames kind of our ghostly encounters. He's a little omniscient, so he's kind of narrator, kind of Greek chorus, maybe a dash of Fred, mostly the other two things. That's the thing. It's just he is kind of us, the audience, for marking on Daffy's cruelty, but also again giving doling out a little bit of karma, that Bugs Bunny, especially with the whole shopping gag of like, of course, Rabbit as a last minute shopper is a genius gag.
Uh-huh.
Of course, Daffy, basically, we've given Bugs an excuse of if you have a character as greedy as Daffy is in this, he cannot possibly turn away such an extensive shopper around the last half hour of the holiday. He can't possibly do that. Right, so it's an ingenious way of keeping these two opposing. A little bit
of a Mr. Krabs dynamic with, how money obsessed he is.
Exactly, but it's also, again, we have like our classic polar opposite characters like that play so well off of each other. We have an excuse to kind of keep him in there, where Daffy again could just say, "Get out of my store," where no, he wants to keep him in there unless Bugs really pushes the envelope. Mm-hmm. All right, so it's Porky.
Okay, Porky, yeah, like I said, ultimate Bob Cratchit, like honestly one of the great adaptations of Bob Cratchit while still being totally his own character. And I was also making a point, Dragon, where I feel like Porky is kind of the Looney Tunes equivalent to Goofy, where he's kind-hearted, in this he's a parent, much like Goofy is, of course. But at the same time, especially in his earlier days, he also had a fuse to him. He also kind of had a temper. So Porky is a character he's never been my favorite Looney Tune, but he's always kind of intrigued me.
Yeah, what I love is Porky, and again, we're kind of playing off of the classic Looney Tune character dynamics here, where Porky Pig is constantly teamed up with Daffy Duck, and it's an ingenious pairing. It really is, because these two characters have kind of this really brazen personality in Daffy Duck, and you have Porky Pig, who's very much kind of the humble, shy, kind of a little more introverted, but aims to please. But again, not that he can't be pushed from time to time, which gets hysterical when you see like this really this humble character with kind of a very human. Sorry, what's funny? Constantly with things like the Muppets as well as pigs. Many a time you wonder why do we have anthropomorphic pig characters? I think the inevitable truth is that anthropomorphic pig characters in biology, frogs and pigs are similar to human as you're going to get in terms of like a whole dissection thing, in terms of like as close to human as you're going to get. That's why they're constantly kind of like poked and prodded, and sort of a scientific thing. And I always like to think character love. It's why Porky Pig is such a human character when we see him. Sometimes, usually, of course, he has the famous stutter. In this case, we kind of made him human in the direct story sense, where he's kind of a widowed father. He's a widower with a daughter, which is very interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let me see. I don't know. I don't have a ton to say about him beyond just the fact that he's just a shoe-in for that Bob Cratchit type, and he just really fills that role out really well.
He just asked for
daughter is adorable, and also like I like that his daughter isn't just a direct beat by beat on the Tiny Tim thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I love Porky asked for so little. He just wants to buy his daughter, the pretty pudgy piggy doll.
Which, by the way, I'm sorry, it looks like Miss Piggy to me.
So this is why we have the Muppet comparisons, folks, because like it sounds like century marketing along with Piggy Water from the ABC.
Piggy Water.
Oh God. Anyway, no.
Matter, Dragon, you don't like my Piggy Water.
You know what's ridiculous? We're cracks. I'll rewatch that. It's in the Gonzo episode. All the good stuff's in the Gonzo. So,
man.
It's that remember she has like a design of lipstick on like the lid as if it's been used by her, even though it's made to look like it's been used by a pig. Just ridiculous. Lipstick on a pig being the operative gag in there. Anyway, so no, I love that he can't even scratch. Like I love that we see the dolls being marked up to $15 and they're like $5. You know? And of course, the fact that employees like Daffy is not paying the minimum wage to his employees here. So it's just someone called a Better Business Bureau. Oh God, it's great. And of course, I think one of the hilarious lines from Porky Pig. Don't let this crack you up. That we're just says like, I haven't been eating all that much. Says, well, look at you. Why are you so round and chubby? Because I'm a pig.
Yeah, I mean, it's dark. It's dark, you know.
You said it, not me.
It's like, oh man, I can't afford to eat much on my salary as it is, sir.
Oh, good. So yeah, speaking of the daughter, Priscilla, voiced by the incomparable Tara Strong. Oh my goodness, yeah. She is again little screen time, roughly 3 scenes, but 3. Oh my God, 3 or 4. Let's say 4 scenes. She has 4 scenes, all very pivotal, all very again like the backbone of like the heart of the whole special hinges on this character. She's so heart meltingly kind. This Priscilla character. Again, I've never seen her outside of this thing personally. You know, it's
I don't know if she exists outside of this.
Well, I'm gonna throw some shade here. Okay, I'm gonna throw some shade on Mickey's Christmas Carol for a mere second.
Oh shit!
Okay. Mickey's little Tiny Tim feeling like the son that Mickey never has.
Oh, yeah, screw him.
What I'm saying, just okay, basically just Tiny Tim with mouse ears. That's all that kid is.
Now, I will counter that. I will say Priscilla, no Robin. I would say Robin is still probably the best of these, fill-in Tiny Tims.
Sure, but again, to be fair, not everybody can be Robin.
I know. I'm just saying, like, if we're going on a tier here.
You're right. She's in the middle, but it's a firm middle. It's a firm, it's stable. It's stability. Anyway. All right. The point is, all the sentiment of the special comes from the daughter, I feel. And I think she's absolutely really smart, though. I mean, she's in the root image for a reason here, folks. Anyway.
Well, okay, let's just acknowledge how adorable. I love how Porky is just so like, oh, I'm glad everything worked out, and I'm just so humble about it.
Yeah.
Okay, and Human Quake's like, maybe Porky's daughter is a Miss Piggy fan. Oh, in Human Quake, everybody is a Miss Piggy fan. Who wouldn't want to be a fan of Piggy?
That's absolutely what you would say. Okay. We're gonna be here all day. Okay, moving on. Let's cover the staff. A little rapid fire on the staff.
All right. So Speedy Gonzalez is the guy who like boxes stuff, right?
Yeah. He's working the assembly line. I forget if he's doing purely gift. I thought he was on the assembly line. Point being, he's constructing something on an assembly line.
Uh-huh. I'm pretty sure Foghorn is on cart duty.
I think so. Yeah.
Let's see. What's Wiley doing? Because Wiley does have a few really funny moments.
So he might be a general salesman, if not a stalker of some variety. It'd be painfully cruel if he were like in charge of like the Whole Foods section. That'd be cool.
Okay, but just getting to Wiley here, like easily a contender for my favorite moment, Dragon. It would definitely be like a runner up for one of my favorite moments is fucking Daffy giving the coyote his own personal chef.
God, it's great.
I mean, how great is that?
Think about this.
That's the coyote's arc wrapped up. It's done.
Yep,
He can die happy now.
The coyote is just for years, for decades, literally, for decades. Wile E. Coyote has just wanted to get that freaking Roadrunner, that little mocking Roadrunner. You know, he's trying, he's failed. The guy's got to eat, and you know what? Now we've given him a turkey dinner on Christmas.
Yeah,
it's like we gave him a retirement watch, man. It's like it's all be a man. You put in your dues. The Acme company is essentially the Acme company in some way, shape, or form. Maybe Lucky Duck has a subsidiary of Acme. I don't know. The point being, Acme is like, you've been such a loyal customer. We're gonna feed you, buddy.
Oh God. Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, okay, so our ridiculous, tangent aside. Your point being, yeah, it's kind of nice to see Wile E. Coyote get the thing he's always kind of coveted in some way, shape, or form, and the Roadrunner gets to live. So it's a little bit. Everyone wins. Everyone wins. It's a banner year for the Looney Tunes. Okay.
Elmer is a perfect overworked employee.
That is. Always good to see Elmer Fudd. Just the wonderful Elmer Fudd.
Marvin the Martian definitely has some of my favorite bits.
He does get a little homesick around the holidays. Let's see.
I like how, in addition to all these guys playing different roles within the mall, they also have a different reason to want to be home for the holidays.
They do. I also like I love the fleas and eggnog gag. It's like Feliz Navidad. Of course, where Daffy just completely butchers it. Fleas and eggnog to you too.
Yeah, close enough.
Speed will take what he gets. And again, every time I think of Speedy Gonzales, I keep thinking of the whole Fantasy Island things because it's just perfect. Anyway.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, Gossamer, man. Freaking Gossamer for the kids out there. Like, who's Gossamer? I'll tell you, Gossamer is the...
Who's B?
Or in this case...
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Or in this case, who's G?
Oh, God. Oh man, we should do the next Bates Motel podcast should just be like an encyclopedia of all the running jokes.
God, if we did alphabetically, B would be obviously the who's B section.
All right.
Of course, A would be for Alex. You got my car back, Alex.
All right.
Anyway, okay.
Jesus.
Point is, Goss, you started that one.
Wow. All right. Sorry.
Okay, Gossamer. The point is, Gossamer, of course, for the kids out there. Gossamer, of course, basically the giant red thing. The giant red monster, the giant furry. Basically, looks like a giant walking mustache and tennis shoes. That's pretty much what you have going on there. Anyway, Gossamer, though, very. I love him as the very literal security man.
Yes.
There's the whole punch out gag. I think is my favorite with him too. When he just okay, everybody punch out. Of course, he punches out. I asked for that. I love that Daffy kind of knows. Like, I hired a very little security man. I knew the risk when I hired him.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Inhuman Quake just clarifies really quick. She's not canon, Porky Pig's daughter, but Mickey does have kids in the comics.
Get out of here! Are you serious? He has kids in the. That's unbelievable.
Apparently.
Mickey gets around, man.
Oh God. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying though. Like the Tiny Tim thing, it might be based on the comics, but it's just like, I don't know. I just feel like the fact that we do invent this original character just kind of makes it play all better.
Yeah, like we never an animation. I can never see it. I don't think we've ever, outside of the Christmas one, obviously. I don't think we've ever seen him have kids.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's the three nephews that kind of hang around sometimes.
Well, yeah, but those nephews are done. You're talking about Hugh and Louie, right? I mean, Mickey doesn't have nephews, does he?
No, Mickey has nephews. Yeah, he does.
Oh, he does. Oh, what do you know? Yeah. I'm learning so much this podcast. Let's move on. Okay. All right.
Okay, anyways, any other staff to go over here?
We covered the major. You're supposed to be talking about some of them later. Let's move on to the Ghost, man. Let's talk about the real stars of A Christmas Carol adaptation, the Ghost.
We're Marley and Marley. Woo!
Molly and Molly. Okay, see, we're talking about the wrong Christmas Carol. You see the running flaw in our logic here. Okay, so let's talk about speaking of Marley. Let's talk about Sylvester. I love this. I love how before we have like what the actual name should be, we have just this hilarious acknowledgement of that's right, Sylvester the cat, aka Sylvester the investor. It's perfect.
Yeah, what's great about this is that it's like Daffy idolizes this guy, you know, and they both are like the Looney Tunes characters with the biggest speech impediments.
Yep.
Well, no, all the Looney Tunes characters kind of have speech impediments, but like Daffy and they both have lisps. I guess that's like the way to sum it up. Like their speaking patterns are very similar.
Pretty much. Well, no, seriously, every Looney Tunes character has an affect with their voice in some way, shape, or form. Because, well, if you really want to break it down, which we're not going to do right now, but you understand my point. All of them has something different.
I thought, Putty Tat. Yeah, you're right.
Tasman, Tat. Taz, oh my god. Okay.
Bugs.
He's kind of New Yorky. He's kind of, it's not much of a speech impediment. I'm saying the point being there's something there. Point being, I think we cracked the code, like the secret ingredient, the success of the Looney Tunes. They all have a speech impediment or a very distinct voice of some variety. Okay, moving on.
I honestly didn't even realize. Like I knew some of them had it. I didn't realize that literally all of them had it. And yeah, you're right. They all do.
When you think of it, I mean, you get all semantical with Granny, but let's be honest though, it's
like, Yosemite Sam has I say, or no, Yosemite Sam has just kind of like
varmint and everything, just angry cowboy.
Yeah, he has the enunciations, and then fucking Foghorn Leghorn, who's one of my favorites, is just like
I say,
son, I say.
Well, not drunk Foghorn. Foghorn Leghorn Dick. Anyway,
Foghorn Leghorn at the office Christmas party.
Yep. Right. Okay. Okay. So Sylvester, of course, he's very much the idolized, kind of like the kind of the greedy mecca for Daffy here. Of course, I love my favorite thing. One mention. I love how he died. I love how we mentioned that a disgruntled employee crushed him with a forklift. God, so messed up. It's so right. And of course, Daffy's response is, "That's not going to happen to me. I don't have the forklift for my employees." Just ingenious. It's great. All right, so speaking of Granny, Granny and Tweety. So Ghost of Christmas Past.
Oh man. So yeah, Granny's physical comedy with the rolling pin is just amazing. It's just
the candy cane.
Oh, it's a candy cane. It's just it's so rolling pin like that.
It's supposed classically it's a rolling pin. In this case, it's a candy cane. I'll admit I didn't freeze her, so I didn't see if it's supposed to be because it is striped like a candy cane. I assumed it was a straight candy cane.
Right, I think you're right. I think it is a candy cane.
It might just be like an old lady's cane, but it's a candy cane, theme. But anyway.
But yeah, I mean, she's just straight up beating the shit out of him.
She is. And you know what this reminded me of? I mean, this is why I draw a lot of the Scrooge comparisons outside like the whole more kind of corporate version of kind of our Christmas Carol. Based instead of like all real estate thing, it's more like it's airtime and networks. In this case, superstores. The other reason is this whole Christmas Past thing, where Granny very all this physical abuse that Daffy's taken at the hands of these ghosts, especially Granny and Tweety, very reminiscent of Carol Kane as the ghost of the Christmas Present.
Oh my God, you're right. Yeah,
from Scrooge. It's a really interesting breakdown when you think of it, because honestly, well, I'll say when we get to the naughty and nice of it all. It's not even. Well, we'll get to it. We get to it. The point being, it's interesting. It's very Carol Kane-esque.
Okay.
I love that we voice the sympathy, but we're not excusing Daffy's actions with the ghost. Like they see, oh God, he was an orphan. Now I understand where it came from. As basically Tweety Bird kind of tears Daffy down, like, you're narcissistic and ego.
Oh my God, I love that moment too.
But again, importantly says, but that doesn't excuse how you're treating your employees, though. Especially Porky Pig's daughter, man. Everyone loves Porky Pig's daughter. What are you doing, man?
Even if she was just a one-off in this one thing.
It was a delightful one-off. All right. That brings us to Yosemite Sam.
Oh God, fucking yes!
So this is genius what they do with Yosemite Sam, because one, he looks great. The design looks great. Of course,
He's perfect.
the red mustache and everything. Traditionally,
Uh-huh.
the Ghost of Christmas Present. You know, he has like the red hair going on, either red or like a really light brown or something. Point being, looks great.
And then, of course, Yosemite Sam is like kind of what I would like to call in this modern day and age of animation a Brad Bird little person.
Yeah. Yep. Of course, speaking of which, the scale, but of course, traditionally Christmas present, giant guy, really big.
Mhm.
This case, Yosemite Sam, quite the opposite. Also in temperament, quite the opposite. Usually when we get to the Christmas present segments, like, oh man, look at what a jovial, nice guy. You look at Muppet Christmas Carol, for example. I'm in love with that, with the bromance that Scrooge has with Christmas present in that movie. I'm head over heels.
Everyone loves the Ghost of Christmas Present in that movie.
What I'm saying, Jerry Nelson
His song is clearly the best song in the movie.
Sure. You know, it's just that it's great, but also I mean, like again, my heart melts when Christmas Present dies in that movie when he disappears. Like, oh, because he built up such a friendship in a day with Ebenezer Scrooge, man. Like Michael Caine gave Michael Caine gave a really good performance in that scene too.
That is honestly like Muppet Christmas Carol is genuine. We're going down old territory here, but Muppet Christmas Carol is genuinely like one of Michael Caine's best performances with absolutely no irony.
That's what I'm saying, and again, like without playing off of another, essentially, he doesn't play off of another. I mean, he plays off of Fred. You know, rarely does he play off of a human character in that movie.
Right.
Okay, anywho, so Yosemite Sam, of course, I think that cracks me with Yosemite Sam. It's like, why couldn't you just give sweet little thing her dolly? That to me is the big takeaway line of the whole thing.
But like how Yosemite Sam is that I feel like he's like, he's like outwardly more tough, but inside he's just kind of trying to get the message across. Whereas I feel like Granny and Tweety, you feel like would be the get the message across types, but no, they're way more physical.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was kind of a nice role reversal between the two of them. Anyway.
You know what's interesting? Inhuman Quake made a point earlier. I wanted to highlight is that Daffy and Sylvester they teamed up in a few of the old shorts. And again, I kind of forgot about that. So it's a really good point. No wonder Daffy would idolize Sylvester. They really did their homework on this one. They really had their familiarity and their bases covered. Like, if we're gonna pair these ghosts up, we're gonna make our character selections here. This would make sense, and they're really on the money.
Sure. And speaking of on the money ghost selections, I mean, who else, Dragon, but the Tasmanian Devil to be the Devil's future? I mean, it's perfect.
Devil's in his name, and also not really a vocal character as Ghost of Christmas Future. Also not a very vocal character. Goes hand in hand. It's got a scary visual, not super verbal. Christmas Future. It's about as close as you're gonna get. But also, I love that. There's the fun subversion of the great thing about the Tasmanian Devil. Because I tell you, man, as a kid, no, this is gonna be okay. I'm gonna screw it. I'm gonna go for it here. I'm gonna go for it.
Go for it, man! It's Christmas.
In my youth, I was a little afraid of the Tasmanian Devil.
Were you really?
Well, I here's why. Okay,
I was afraid of the ants from James and the Giant Peach saying "Look a peach," so don't be ashamed.
Here's why though. It was maybe a little. I guess a little. It was less the cartoons. It was more that I had this giant. There was this. I mean, giant man. I'm talking big. There was a giant stuffed Tasmanian Devil. And
really?
I mean, about as tall as I would have been as a kid, if not taller than me.
Where was this?
I'm saying for I feel if it was always moved into the one room, but for a time it's so traumatizing to try to block it out. I think it was in my room. So as a kid at night.
Oh Jesus! All right. Yeah.
So at some point it had to be moved. I forget if it was moved there. If I was just thinking, that's what I'm saying. So for a while I was a little. I got over it obviously, but I'm saying.
I hear you, man. Childhood fears are weird, and
it was like Taz with the mouth open and everything. But again, it's basically it's the full body, as if the Tasmanian Devil were in real life.
I could see how that would be terrifying to a kid with no context of who this guy is. Yeah.
No, I'm saying that's the thing. I'm sure I saw printed on things with Looney Tunes, and I'm sure I've seen Looney Tunes cards. That's saying I don't think I was afraid of the cartoon. I was more afraid of this giant imposing thing in the room. That was the
right.
So anyway, regardless, moving on. Point being, the Tasmanian Devil, though, again, I love is that he can be rather. We take in the surface, kind of intimidating character. But we see, and the wonderful thing about the Tasmanian Devil character, as you get to know him, obviously as you see him in action, is that Tasmanian Devil, you can have layers to him. You know, it can be like it can be a casual guy sometimes, but in this case, his heart melts along with Daffy's at Priscilla, and I love that, and I love that Daffy's calling him Mumbles, and the whole thing is it's quite delightful.
Yeah. All right, so Dragon, it's time to make the list and check it twice and find out what in this special is naughty and nice.
All right, so let's check the nice list first.
You sure you don't want to end? I don't have much to say with naughty. I kind of want to get the naughty out of the way.
All right, fine. We'll take care of the naughty. Fine, we'll go the way it's put.
Like, I mean, beyond just the whole, like, yeah, we've seen the story done before, which, you know, you can throw out is like, yeah, but it's a cool subversion of the story. Dragon, I don't have a ton that I don't like about this thing. I mean, is it the most amazing Looney Tunes project ever? I mean, no, but I think it's solidly one of the better ones we've got in the past couple decades, honestly.
Well, okay, here's just one thing aesthetically it's like a taste thing, I guess. It's just there's one gag I'm not crazy about that always like kind of like tainted this. I say tainted in a loose sense because it doesn't really taint anything. It's just like always like when I think of it, oh yeah, I remember that thing. I said, oh man, there was that bit to it. I'm not crazy about that whole. I didn't need the whole Porky Pig and the Kiss Me It's Christmas lingerie. I didn't quite need that.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
Yeah, but again, that's not a deal breaker. Just like maybe not the strongest gag. You know?
Sure. I will say that Pepe Le Pew is particularly rapey in the one scene he gets.
Okay, well, to be fair, that's kind of always Pepe Le Pew.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying. However, the more time goes by, the more uncomfortable Pepe Le Pew becomes.
Now, funny you mention
much more uncomfortable than Speedy Gonzales, honestly.
Now, funny you mention that because that was like another nitpick I have with Noah here is that Daffy like blatantly insulting the customers kind of hurts the conceit that he's a good businessman when he's like insulting remember what the cat's name is like the one he's always going after.
No, I don't.
But the point being like the famed cat that Pepe Le Pew is always going after, like basically he says, "Hey, tune a breath, you should buy this by the barrel full." It's like that. I don't buy they would do that. I don't know.
Okay, no, that's a good point because I don't really. And again, folks, it's a 45-minute special. We all know the story, so they're not really jumping through hoops to add layers or dimension to these characters. But we don't really know how Daffy like rises to the ranks or anything like that. We see him as an orphan, and then suddenly he's like the head of this mall, and I don't know, like there's no real backstory explored there. I do think that is one of the you're right that we don't see any indication of why he would be in the position that he is, and that is a minor nitpick. All right.
Here are some really excellent comments, some excellent points here. So I love Jim Cummings. Oh, hello. Yes, you're there.
Yeah, shit. I just sorry, I just did a thing, and I guess I cut it off. Anyways, go ahead.
Anyway, well, I was about to shout out some Inhuman Quake comments here. It's like I love Jim Cummings as Taz and Tasmania and all that stuff. There, it's an excellent point.
Tasmania is definitely a show I want to go back and rewatch.
Let's see. You were getting to a point about the cat from the whole Pepe Le Pew cat thing.
Well, I'm just saying, like, just in general with Daffy. God, I had a whole soliloquy about it. Yeah, with Daffy, I just feel like there's not a lot of connective tissue between like the childhood and then him being in this power position, and with him in the power position, we don't really see why he's in the power position, because as you illustrated, he is, pretty much by all intents and purposes a bad manager. But Dragon, I mean, I think the answer to that is it's a cartoon. Kids don't care.
It's kind of the old Joel Schumacher response. Remember, it's a cartoon.
Yeah, so it's whatever. I mean, it's like, as a working man myself, I can safely say that if this shit happened in my workplace,
It's like, look,
the manager would probably be usurped, but
it's like if you want to make a point of like, well, doesn't Daffy go an awfully out of his way to get that little change bucket where it's only full of coins, and of course they're all of his shenanigans, and then he fills it with cash, and then Petunia, darn it, then Priscilla takes off with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I hear you.
That sort of stuff. It's cartoon logic. It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's fine. I mean, there's one other thing. This is not a problem at all, and we'll move on to the nice stuff. Is that when you think about it, if you had Daffy go through the abuse that he that he does here, like a whole with Christmas Past, like the structure traditionally is, if you go by the Scrooge logic, he gets the abuse when he's halfway through, because again, like the lessons get a little bit more sobering, but to get the abuse in the past, like it's like we've kind of blown our load, especially when we have Yosemite Sam kind of doling it out in two, but Yosemite Sam, because Granny's been doing all the bashing on Daffy's head, Yosemite Sam can't do all that, so now Yosemite Sam is just he's the travel guy, so it's not a problem, but I do question.
What Yosemite Sam gonna do? Shoot him?
That's what I'm saying. Can't do it now because we've kind of taken away his gambit, but also it's like he's basically all this travel thing where Daffy is kind of the author of his own suffering,
right?
Which again is not a problem. It's kind of a question I raised because maybe we abused Daffy a little too fast with the whole Granny Tweety thing, maybe. But it's a maybe. It's not a problem. It's still funny.
Or maybe Granny and Tweety could have been the Ghost of Christmas Present and Yosemite Sam the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Maybe. I
don't know.
Oh. Okay, let's talk about some of the nice stuff. So again, the biggest one for me, I love the aesthetic of the update. I love the whole Lucky Duck store. I love this idea of like if we're going to update Christmas Carol, might as well kind of blend it with kind of the whole shopping craze of it all around the holidays. I think it's an ingenious way of doing that, and of course, like a kind of a harsh tyrant to like make people come in on Christmas Day. That makes all the sense in the world. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's really clever the way that they do it. I think, of course, it still is a pretty beat-by-beat Christmas story, Christmas Carol. But, still just the modern day setting, the fact that we're not, like, just doing a blueprint point A to point B of the characters beyond Daffy as Scrooge and Porky as Cratchit. All the other characters, I think, are kind of like amalgamations of different themes within a Christmas story, I would wager to say. And I think that just into itself, I feel like makes this feel a lot more fresh than a lot of other Christmas Carol adaptations.
Yeah, of course, we've infused a great amount of slapstick. Of course, just kind of the classic Looney Tunes signatures. Along with the classic Looney Tunes signatures, we have kind of a very classic sounding kind of Looney Tune assortment of voice actors. Joe Lasky, Bob Bergden, Jim Cummings, Maurice LaMarche as Marvin the Martian. The whole gang there, of course. But I want to highlight, though, again, kind of the non-Looney Tune kind of cast member. Again, Tara Strong, man. I know, yes, I've met her, but still, it's the fact. I got to tell you, man, I have even greater appreciation for her. Seeing, like, again, the few scenes that she has in this went a long way. It really did.
Yeah, you're right.
She broke the heart in this thing, man. Again, it's truly remarkable. I love the little aesthetic choices too. But I love Daffy's design. I love putting Daffy in like the nice like suit and then put him on the hovering scooter. It looks really cool.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing for the naughty. The CGI city that we go through and the CGI like exteriors. It hasn't aged well.
Yeah.
As is the case with pretty much all like straight to video budget CG at the time.
As we've kind of like circled around here, the pacing's really good, like really straight to the point with the pacing. We've kind of cut out, basically, quote Bruce Willis, we've cut out all the chuffa, one could say.
I mean, I think they made a really good decision to make it 45 minutes and not, stretch it out to an hour or 20 minutes. Because really, at the end of the day, what the hell else are they going to add to this?
And of course, the idea is like, it's released, it's direct to video, but also it's like for TV release as well. And with TV release, it'll be an hour, maybe an hour change with the commercials like fitted in there. So it all works out for them. So, again, the Bugs and Daffy dynamic. I love their dynamic. I love the whole. It's classic. I love the dynamic, but I love the whole Bugs is kind of like they're snowed in together. Therefore, he has to deal with Bugs. Like hide me from the ghost. Basically, Bugs is kind of inserted into each of the ghost interactions.
Yeah.
it's just kind of funny. Like, hi, me, like he's doling out the abuse to Daffy here, and like this is for my, all this sort of stuff. It's quite fun. All right.
Okay, Inhuman Quake says in the comments, Pepe Le Pew's love name is Penelope.
Thank you, Inhuman Quake. Thank you. Mooey brownie points for my friend Inhuman Quake.
And also he asks, can you review Carrot Blanca? Well, Dragon, I really do think that one of the theme months we need to do in 2020 is the old school Looney Tunes movies.
Well, in Human Quake, you mentioned that next year was the year of the Looney Tunes. Is that like an anniversary thing? Because that's the case, and absolutely we'll do a theme month, I'm sure. Just I can't promise you when, but we will do that most assuredly. At the very least, we'll definitely do Carrot Blanc. I can't promise. Again, right now we're kind of in the thick of Christmas, so obviously we can't do it this month.
Yeah, we won't be doing anything, in the next month, but soon. And Carrot Blanca and fucking Fantasy Island as well, man. I love Fantasy Island.
I too love Fantasy Island. I do. I do indeed, man. You've got T. You've never seen My Dinner with Hervé, have you?
No, I don't know what that is.
The guy, he's the actual. Hervé was the little guy from the Real Fantasy Island TV show.
Oh, okay.
Peter Dinklage they did a biopic on HBO where Peter Dinklage played Hervé, and it was I remember recommending it to you like the year it came out. The point is, it's really good. Check it out.
I remember you mentioning it. Yeah.
I was all this Fantasy Island talk because they have like Ricardo, Anthony Garcia plays Ricardo Montalban.
Nice.
Anyway, okay, yes. So I guess moving on then.
Okay. Favorite moments. So I guess I'm pretty sure I have the first one, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Go.
All right. So our big reveal of Daffy Scrooge. Daffy Scrooge gets out of his car on a hover, like basically a hover Segway. I describe it as, Dragon. It's ridiculous. And like you said, he's got that great like 3-piece purple suit. And first impression is we see Playboy Penguin, ironically named in this case, Playboy Penguin, yes. A rather obscure Looney Tunes poll.
You know who he looks remarkably like, though? He looks so much like the Penguin from Cats Don't Dance, doesn't he?
Yeah, I could see that. And Playboy Penguin comes up to him, begs him, asks him for, just a little handout around the holidays. And Daffy is just like kind of spitting in his face, just like, handouts around the holidays? Why does everyone go looking to the rich? I don't know. He just kind of like turns him down very dramatically. And then Playboy Penguin just cries Ice Cube tears, Dragon. I love the visual of the Ice Cube tears.
It's so great. It's so funny.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. I honestly could have probably said more about stuff like the about the coyote getting his personal chef, but I don't know. I just love the visual of the Ice Cube tears.
I'll point out that Human Quake made the point earlier that he wanted he wanted Wile E. Coyote to get the Roadrunner, be able to eat him.
All right, then let's see. We have basically a whole chunk of this movie is devoted to each character. Well, at least several characters going in and asking for time off for holidays. And like I said, the drive of this scene is really the fact that each of them has a different but very relatable reason. In Marvin, the Martian's case, is that he's homesick. I just want to go home and hang Yuletide off the missile or whatever. And Daffy is just like, oh, well, you wanna go on a missile? Well, that can be arranged. And what does Marvin say, Dragon?
Oh, goody, goody.
Oh, goody, goody. So Marvin's chair becomes an actual rocket, and he is propelled down the hallway, and this makes Marvin very angry.
Oh, I'm so angry.
I don't know, Dragon. Just Marvin the Martian is another one of the Looney Tunes where I love the design. It's like you have to wonder if he's just like a little man or if he's like a green alien or what. It's like I love the I love how you never see his face. And I don't know, there's just something so humble about Marvin the Martian at the same time, the fact that this is a guy that's literally his life goal is world domination, and yet he's very humble about how he goes about it. So yeah, I really like that. I really like that little exchange, but I just especially like the "oh goody goody." But something a little bit more resonant here in the third act. The first person that Daffy comes across after his big revelation, after he wakes up and has the ghost encounter, he comes upon Elmer Fudd, and the whole time Elmer Fudd has just been worked tirelessly. He's been going through like multiple triple shifts, and he's delirious. And Elmer Fudd is just hunched up asleep against a frozen freaking lamppost. And Dragon, I don't know, there's just something very, very humble and charming about Daffy waking up Elmer Fudd, getting him warmed up, and then just very Christmassy, like breaking the news, like, I'm giving you a raise and a trip to Hawaii. It was just like, oh boy, Hawaii. And I don't know, Dragon. And then they just, Daffy's just like, come on, we got to open up the store. We've got a Christmas to celebrate. And I think, Dragon, there's just something so humble and adorable about Elmer and Daffy working together after, of course, all the decades of rabbit season, duck season, just like them really getting on the same page. It kind of touched me, the fact that Elmer, of all people, is the first person that Daffy makes amends with.
It's funny, the whole fudgesicle thing, the whole fudgesicle thing, I should say. It does remind me of the haunting bit from Scrooge, where you had like the homeless man who asked for $2, and he froze to death. And we don't know if that guy's okay. We're not sure if that guy's okay. I'm pretty sure he's dead. Oh wait, I know he's dead because he was the angel at the end. He died. We killed somebody anyway. No, regardless. But yeah, it's going to remind me a little bit of that. But yeah, it is a great thing. It's so fun to see kind of fun in that capacity. It's quite delightful.
All right, list off yours, Dragon.
All right, so this is a brief one. I love Bugs as the holiday expert. I love this bit where basically Daffy and Bugs are kind of snowed in there, and of course, like Bugs trying to make the best of that situation. In a sense, just trying to like get Daffy into the holiday spirit, and of course, he's kind of hyping up the ghost of it all in the moment. There's how do you know so much about knocking off the ghost? How do you know so much about the holidays? I am a holiday expert. And he has all these holiday fun facts, which cracked me up. And they are rather informative, too, which just delighted me as well. Where it says, like, the poinsettia is from Mexico. It was originally imported from Mexico. And then Santa Claus was born in Turkey, as he brings up a turkey, which is traditionally is affiliated with Thanksgiving. And I love it. Simple, but just it's great comedy. I love it.
But just in general, I love the idea of Bugs being a holiday enthusiast.
Yeah,
it's so humble and charming.
All right, so then that brings us to basically the rest of my movies are very very Priscilla based here. So the whole bit with Ghost to Christmas Future. I call it the cookie bit. So, oh my God, the cookie scene could make you weep. It really could. It's basically
in Russia, the cookie crumbles you.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles. Back to you, Evan. All right. So, okay, no, in all seriousness. So I found the cookie bit at the cemetery bit when we're at the Ghost of Christmas Future bit here, where I love it's so sweet without directly adapting Tiny Tim at all. It's a completely original bit.
Instead of her having the having the terminal illness, it's directly relating to loneliness which Daffy actually caused.
Yeah, and also there's that, but also like the whole again she lost a parent, so again she also has kind of been without a parent around the holidays as kind of Daffy has been. And it's this child relating to a loner after the loss of her mother and showing such compassion to the memory of such a miserable man who separated her from her father at Christmas at such a vulnerable time. And yet she's still showing him such a kindness. She made him cookies, not just cookies, man. She made him cookies styled after the man. She put effort into it to leave at the man's headstone, even better than flowers. Is it impractical? Is it going to cause a nuisance for the groundskeeper? Surely, but the gesture, man. The sheer gesture of it all. No, seriously, it's just like, I love, it's something so sweet. Like she says she'll visit him every year, and that she never hated him personally. Like it even breaks the heart of the Ghost of Christmas Future. That the guy's supposed to be all tight-lipped and scary. He's like, oh god, it even breaks him. He's crying. Legitimately, you see the change in Daffy Duck, and then you see the change in Daffy. It's such a freaking brilliant scene. Yes, like all the sincerity. To me, the whole heart of the piece is in this scene.
All right, so then Daffy has his big redemption, or does he, Dragon?
Yes, we have the big cookie callback here. So we have this great moment where Daffy is he's considering pulling a whole born again crabs, let's call it. He's kind of considering like, oh god, he's looking around like, oh god, Fudd's going off to Hawaii. I've hired a chef who knows how expensive that is. He's just looking around in a panic here. He's thinking how he can recoup all this. Like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And then Priscilla shows up here and presents him with cookies. And all the cookies are kind of a dual reminder. The cookies are kind of like, maybe it's a little bit of a pointed reminder of like, remember, death, which begets cookies, but still death. But on the other side of it, though, more importantly, and I'm sure what the actual takeaway is, it gets the humanity that touched him in the first place. Like, hey, you made the right choice, buddy. Stick with it. Stick with the choice. And of course, relates to the other sentiment at the cemetery. Christmas is the one day when everyone's family.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, basically make this offer like, Mr. Duck, you can be our family too. And it's like, oh god, so it's touching in the feels, man, the feels.
All right, good stuff. Dragon, how's it hold up?
I tell you, it's it's simple, direct, and just the right amount of refreshing. It is because it's something that we haven't quite seen before. Again, it's a story that we all know by heart, but it's like shaken up a little bit. Is it really reinventing the wheel? Not quite, but it is. It's just there's something. Again, you forget how short this is. You forget how they're really cutting to the chase. You forget how they're getting how they're really hitting their story points, and we're hitting all the things like you watch. Basically, it's like imagine this. Imagine you put on the original Christmas Carol, like the Alistair Sim version, I believe it is, the original one. And look, all nice and good, I'm sure, but sometimes you want to cut to the chase. Sometimes you want to get to the good parts, and that's what this does. It kind of gets to the good parts, gets to the hallmarks of the story, but also throws a little genuine sincerity at you there. Not the original isn't sincere, but again, like the Priscilla Pig stuff, man, it really hits, and like there's an emotional spine to this piece, even though it's only 45 minutes, and you have like the classic laughs of your Looney Tunes, a little bit more direct, slapsticky comedy. There's something kind of special. I'd say it absolutely holds up. It's not quite reinvented, but absolutely it does hold up with story that we all know, taken a modern in a modern context with classic characters. That's what this is. It's great.
All right, I'm going to make a controversial statement here, Dragon. I would say this is a better Looney Tunes project than Muppet Christmas Carol is a Muppet project.
Okay, elaborate a little on that.
Okay, what I mean by that is that Muppet Christmas Carol is a great movie, and it is one of the best Christmas Carol movies, to be sure. But as we've discussed at length, folks, we've talked about Muppet Christmas Carol. I feel like we've done at least 3 different podcasts on that thing.
Technically, yes. Definitely 2, maybe 3.
So, Muppet Christmas Carol works, for sure. But I feel like the Muppet element of that movie, you could almost kind of just, like, switch out. It's like the Muppets work so well that, like I said, it is very much kind of like the classic way to adapt Christmas Carol, which is just to kind of like insert all the different characters into all the different roles, which, I mean, it works well and the different roles are filled out nicely. But the problem with that is that you get very little screen time with Piggy. You get very little screen time with Fozzie, because they're kind of like just neglected to these side characters. And I just feel like this one does a much better job because it's like we have the Bugs and Daffy dynamic that's there from start to finish. We have all the Looney Tunes kind of there doing their thing as staff. and they're kind of there throughout the movie, having little side bits, little jokes all over the place. All the ghosts are really well chosen and really highlight each of the characters' personalities who are cast as a ghost. I don't know, man. I just think this is a better blend. Like, Muppet Christmas Carol might be the more poignant and, true to the adaptation of A Christmas Carol. And it's definitely like as far as like, obviously like filmmaking and everything is concerned, like there's obviously like no comparing the two. The Muppet Christmas Carol is a far more ambitious project. But I'm just saying, as a melding of two different properties, I think this one gets it more on the money than Christmas Carol does. What do you think?
Well, I mean, if you put it like that, I mean, I'll agree with you to an extent. That yes, the Looney Tunes characters do feel very much in character, but here's the question though. Again, there's a disadvantage in that those characters are literally like they're portraying those characters. They're directly portraying those characters. Or in this case, they are actually playing themselves, but in a Scrooge-like, kind of capacity. See, that's the difference. That's where it gets tricky. I'm inclined to go along with you on that. But again, they're not exactly they're not chained by the fact they're doing a straight adaptation. That's what allows them to be like what they are here, which kind of gives them the advantage. So I can't say it's like
sure.
That's the sticking point for me.
Well, I think we can all agree that song in the middle of Muppet Christmas Carol was cut for a reason.
Yeah. So again, it's a nice melody, though. I gotta give it that. It's a nice melody.
All right, so no, but just so people are clear here, Dragon and I, we love Muppet Christmas Carol. We've podcasted about it.
I'll fight anyone who says different.
Right, we've podcasted about it at least 2.5 times, so don't get us wrong. All right, anything else to say here, Dragon?
Perhaps we should unwrap. Peek beneath the wrapping paper. What's up next? A little.
Right, I don't. Did we even go over what's next?
Well, yeah, we know what's next, Steve. You remember the thing's next, though. The dreaded thing you said. The hype.
Oh, the dreaded thing. All right, I get to tease it up. All right,
okay, tease up the dread. Going to dread. Yeah.
Okay, folks. The next one is going to be. Oh, I'm excited for this, and Dragon is not excited for it at all, and it's going to probably be a very one-sided conversation. But for me, this movie very much fills my my so good it's so bad it's good itch. I would even dare to say it is the room of Christmas movies in its sheer what the fuck audacity, and that is Kirk Cameron saving Christmas. Oh man, Dragon, thoughts?
I'm very terrified. I think
Dragon, Kirk Cameron, that shot they keep using in the movie of Kirk Cameron just staring you dead-eyed in the face with that Santa hat on.
Yeah.
Kirk Cameron just staring at you, and he's like, "You gotta like my movie, Dragon. Yeah, give my movie a positive review. Jesus loves you, Dragon, but only if you love Kirk Cameron."
I tell you, I'm very not looking forward to this next one, folks. I haven't even finished watching it yet. I've kind of lost the will to live while watching it. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I just like I'll stick out. I've seen things that aren't that great, folks, and I've stick to the end. This thing is something else, man. I tell you, this is like I don't think it's a movie, honestly, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's not really a movie.
That's what I'm saying. This thing, I feel like mental torture. I thought it was on the good list this year. That's what I thought. But anyway, okay.
No, well, clearly it was on the naughty list, Dragon. That was the whole point. It's like the naughtiest.
No, I mean, me have been subjected to it. I thought I made the good list. I forget.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know what. I ruined that point. I'm sorry.
Okay, regardless.
You are on the nice list, Dragon, and there's plenty of stuff coming up that I'm sure you'll enjoy talking about.
I'll tell you someone who is on the nice list. Who's on the extra nice list. Inhuman Quake in the comments.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Inhuman Quake, for joining us. We really appreciate your valuable insight throughout.
Yeah.
All right. Also, I'm not going to pull it up just because I want the screen share to stick on the banner. But Inhuman Quake is mentioning an FX making A Christmas Carol with Tom Hardy. Do you know anything about this?
I know nothing about this, but with Tom Hardy, it might
I'm
be
intrigued by that casting, though.
might be in good hands. But then again, we've been steered wrong before on great casting, like Jim Carrey in The Christmas Carol, and we saw how that went.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh God.
All right, have we ever talked about that?
No, we have not.
All right.
Let's keep it that way for the time being.
Oh no, little mister. One of these days we're gonna have to get to. If you're subjecting me to what we're gonna talk about next, one of these things anyway.
If you want to make it a trade-off,
no. I'm not gonna waste my trade. I'm just saying.
Oh God.
I'm planning something. Just know that I'm planning anyway.
But you're always planning something. I know you're always planning something. That's like the basis of our relationship.
Okay. Anyway. Okay, that brings us to the end. So it's time to dash away all. But as we wave goodbye, don't you cry. We'll be back again next time
for even more seasonal shenanigans.
La 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 la
la la la la.
Beat the beat. That's all, folks.
Oh, goody.